One of the toughest things to do in all of college football is win on the road. When you're a ranked team going into a hostile environment, these fans are ready to knock them off course. Welcome, everyone, to Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana, home of the Indiana Hoosiers. As we'll see the number 19 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on a team from the Big Ten, the Indiana Hoosiers. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, joined here in the booth by a couple of legends, and yes, we do use that term. One of the toughest things to do in all of college football is win on the road. When you're a ranked team going into a hostile environment, these fans are ready to knock them off course. Welcome, everyone, to Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana, home of the Indiana Hoosiers. As we'll see the number 19 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels, taking on a team from the Big Ten, the Indiana Hoosiers. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports College Football. I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack and Jesse Palmer with me in the booth. Guys, we are ready to tee it up. The Hoosiers will kick it away to start us off. And he'll just take a knee, and this drive will start at the 25. Makes the quick grab.
My old coach said you'll never go broke taking a profit. Take what's there, take the positive yards, and never complain.
Here comes the offense on second down. Give to the back. Still running at the 40. He'll be stopped at the 41, but give him 10 on that play.
You know, good running backs are the ones that can make things happen in small spaces. That running back there found his lane, he found his crease, and there was no hesitation. He got north right away and was able to make a big-time play.
Wants to throw. It's Simmons. And it's incomplete. If you're going to take a hit like that, you might as well hang on to the ball.
It moves to second down.
Backed up now. Here's second and long. Looking to fire. They'll run the screen. There he goes. Into enemy territory and out of bounds at the 41 after the good gain there.
Gotta love this play call early in the football game. Like the quarterback, get in a rhythm, run a screen play, get it to a playmaker, create some space, move the sticks, get a first down. Nice start for this offense.
Off the play fake on first down to throw. Fires on the move. Complete downfield. All the way down to the 25-yard line. They move the sticks. It's first down.
And I love the awareness by the wide receiver on that play because I'm not sure that route was supposed to be that deep. You got to wonder if the receiver decided maybe to adjust the route a little bit to make sure that he got the first down.
They'll give it to the back. He breaks the tackle.
And those body blows really, really matter. Like, I want to be able to hand the ball off to my running back 10, 15 times a game. Make the defense tackle him, wear him out. Sometimes these 3 to 4 yard runs, later in football games, they turn into 5 to 15 to 20-yard gains just because of the body blow effect.
Solid pickup of 4 on first down. It's 2nd and 6. Back to pass. Fires left. A little too much on that one, just out of his reach.
Sometimes it takes quarterbacks a few plays to really get into the rhythm of the game and not force things. I think the quarterback that time was really trying to force the ball to his wide receiver, but against man coverage, there were other guys on that play that were open that could have had a chance. So this quarterback just needs to settle down a little bit. He won't be throwing as many incompletions if he just lets the coverage tell him where to go with the ball.
And so on their opening drive of the game, they want to stay on the field, and the offense will go for it on 4th down. Needs it to keep this drive alive. Will not get there. A 4th down stop.
And listen, I have no problem being aggressive on 4th down, but the consequences of that, now you got to have your defense go bail you out. So you started the game trying to be aggressive. Well, defense, you got to get my back now.
To the air, it's Mendoza. Fires to the right. And the defense forced that incompletion with the deflection.
I know it wasn't an interception, but a lot of times tips and deflections leads to interceptions. Great job by the defender getting his mitt on the football.
They'll leave it with him. They believe in that running game. Got 6 before he stopped at the 23.
You love to see this on offense. Early in drives, getting that kind of yardage keeps you ahead of the chains.
And the Hoosiers are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. Off the bootleg, looking to fire. And they can't make the connection on 3rd down.
And I like the aggressiveness on 3rd and short, trying to throw the football, take advantage of a look that they got. They weren't successful, and now it's 4th and short territory. Who knows what they're going to do?
They are backing up their pregame words. Their first drive of the game, 4th, makes the grab past the marker. The Hoosiers will move the sticks with the first down.
That tells you a lot about their confidence in this quarterback. 4th down early in the game on your own end, and you go for it, but when you make decisions and throws like that, it's easy to see why.
Looking to throw on 1st down. Going to try to pop one on the screen. And that did not work. Defense smelled that one out from the beginning.
How about the job and recognition by the defense? They knew exactly what they were trying to set up, and they had multiple defenders surrounding that intended target so that there was nowhere for him to go once he caught the ball.
Throws to the wideout. Got it in the middle. It's Williams. Really good job to pick up a chunk of yardage and get it out to the 39-yard line. And the Hoosiers are flying down the field. From the gun, the ground game. And there was nowhere to go, just stopped in his tracks in the backfield.
Well, there was just nowhere to go for the runner on that last play. Just way too much penetration up front, and as a result, they lose yardage.
The Hoosiers with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Looking to throw, it's Mendoza. Unloads to the wideout. And he got a hand in there, knocks it away, incomplete.
Well, the quarterback knew where he wanted to go with the ball. His intended target just wasn't open, so the quarterback made sure he put that football in the stands.
And the Hoosiers need their binoculars to find that line to gain here on third down. From the gun, wants to pass. Fires to the wideout. Finds a man on the left. It's a seam wide open. Ripped off a huge shunt play on that one as he gets the first down before he steps out of bounds.
And listen, the defense knew coming into this one, they were going to target him early and often. He is a weapon, and there's no mystery where the quarterback's going to be looking on critical down and distances. Let's see how they're able to cover him throughout the rest of this game.
Grabbed in the middle, it's Williams. They go up top to get it down to the 5-yard line as they try to pay off this drive.
Well, this offense knew coming into this game they wanted to try to attack the middle of the field in the passing game, and they're able to execute the in route there.
They're looking to throw on second and short. Intercepted to stop the threat. He's knocked down, but what a play to come up with the interception.
Just such a nice job by him understanding his responsibility in that cover 2 zone scheme. He's just floating over the middle of the field. He's just very aware of tight ends and running backs around him. And as soon as he sees color, as soon as he sees an intended target, he's already running that way. He's able to jump the throw and pick it off.
And they'll bring him down after a short pickup. Behind the chains now on second and long. Wants to go up top. That's caught. It's Taylor. And they'll finally get him down after a terrific pickup.
And a great job by the QB finding the running back, getting the football where he can do some damage after the catch, and most importantly, get the first down.
This offense tries to get rolling from its own 15 on first down. Used the play fake. Now to throw. Got out of trouble, got rid of it. Finds his tight end. Goes out of bounds at the 25, and that's the way to get it out of your own end. Time winding down in the quarter as they come to the line. Trying play action. Took a shot as he threw. And the pass falls incomplete, and we are through one quarter. First play of the period will be a second down. Dropping back, it's Simmons. Throws to the wideout. And that pass will be jarred loose on second down. That brings up third down.
Well, that looked like it was going to be a completion, but how about the defender making the hit, forcing the incompletion?
Probably the toughest call on the play sheet. Third and long. Ball's at the 25. Got it behind the line. It's Lee. They'll make the stop about a yard short of the first down. This offense is completely confident in their ability to get 1 yard. They'll go for it on fourth down. Trying to get it to the marker. The Rebels get the first down.
That's a down and distance that would make a lot of coaching staffs pause, maybe call a timeout and think about, but not this one. There was no doubt, Reese, they were going to run the football and try to pick that up on fourth.
Direct challenge to the defense. If you want the ball, you're going to have to take it from us or stop us, and they didn't. There he goes.
Well, right away after picking up the first down, they go right back to their playmaker at running back, and I love the push they got up front, getting a hat on a hat, opening a huge hole for the back.
And you become so hard to defend when you can run the football successfully on first down. You're starting like that. Now what opens up? Play action. Now you're making me play pass and run.
And the quarterback will be slung down back at the 43.
What a nice answer by this defense. You give up the big play, you respond right back. You get the sack, create some momentum for your side. Nice job by this defense staying with it.
Offense changing the play. Toss to the left. And this one will be stopped for no gain.
Well, they're trying to go toss to the field and get that running back out into space to use his speed, but the defense looked like they were already lined up expecting that play, and they force a negative.
And the Rebels are way behind the sticks on this 3rd and forever. Back to throw, it's Simmons. It's complete to the right. Wide open spaces. Tackled right at the 43-yard line, and this D didn't let him sniff that first down marker.
You know, I got to tell you, as an offense, moving forward in this game, 3rd and long, you're going to have to push the ball downfield a little bit more. You got to throw to the sticks and give yourself a chance to convert these 3rd downs.
On 4th down, they'll try to throw it. Pulls it in. It's Stribling. He's not going to get there. Stopped short on 4th down.
You know, offensively in that situation, 4th down, you're throwing for it. Everything has to go right, or someone just needs to be able to make a play to keep the drive alive. They couldn't get it done, and now the offense is coming off the foot.
And a good, solid pickup there before the defense knocks him down.
Coaches always harp about staying ahead of the chains, and when you can run with that type of efficiency on 1st down, man, you are doing just that.
The Hoosiers can play this 2nd down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. Off the bootleg to buy a little space. Unleashes one. It's caught downfield. He'll go out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Big pickup there, and this offense is feeling it.
One of the things that makes this quarterback so dangerous is how accurate he can be when he's on the run. And he's a guy that's looking to throw. He's not looking to take off himself. Showed you that accuracy on that play to get the first.
And just wedges it ahead a bit before he's brought down.
And, man, the big fellas up front, they don't get a lot of credit. They don't get talked about a lot unless it's negative, but they're the big component, man. They've got to get some push, to get some running lanes, get this running game going. They're the ones that make it go.
On the ground, it's Hemby. Knocked down at the 29 after a pickup of 4.
And, you know, when we talk about great 3rd down defenses, it really starts with them getting stops on 1st and 2nd down. You've got to get those stops early in the drives to set up 3rd and long, so that's a missed opportunity on that 2nd down by this defense.
A little floater there that falls incomplete.
Yeah, and 3rd and short, they choose not to run, throw the football, and I think a lot of that has to do with they know they're in field goal range. They can take the 3 points on the board.
It's 4th down, and they can make the field goal from here, but it looks as if they're going to leave the offense out there. Reads it, fires complete. They stop him short of the marker, and they'll turn it over on downs.
Man, aggressive play calls. Everybody wants you to be aggressive. They're aggressive. They take their shot. Now they got to live with a little bit of the consequences. They turn the football over on downs. Now their defense has to go out on the field and make some stops.
Off play action on 1st down. Under fire. Can't make the connection. The pressure there caused the mistiming.
Man, it's easy to play defense when you can do this. When you can get to the quarterback quick and make him make a decision quick, it makes it easier for the secondary, for the linebackers, for everybody on the field.
The give to the back. A collision, and he stopped at the 27 after picking up 1.
The run game just has not been working for this offense all game long. We saw it on that last play as well. Just not getting enough push up front on the offensive line. They haven't been physical.
3rd down conversion's always a huge stat, and they've got a 3rd and long from the 27. Looking downfield, it's Simmons. And that 3rd down pass had some serious juice, but they couldn't hook up.
And 3rd and long, everybody is pinning their ears back and coming after the quarterback. You try to throw screens behind those. Sometimes they're very successful, but this time, defense played it great, and the play went nowhere.
They're only 1 for 3 on 4th down attempts, but they'll try it again here. He'll try to throw and pick up the 1st down. Complete out of the backfield, looking for the sticks. And he's down at the 41. That's a first down. We'll take a quick break as we have reached the final 2 minutes of the first half. The Rebels will snap it on 1st and 10. He might want another play. To the air on first down. Grabbed behind the line. It's Wallace. Stopped just across the 50 at the 49-yard line. It's a pickup of 10 and a first down.
Now, I know that completion isn't a touchdown. It's not a deep play deep down the field, but how about the strong hands by that receiver making that catch? He made that look pretty routine. He had that DB draped all over him and still was able to help this offense get positive.
Really nice pickup on that one as they get it to the 36. It'll be first down.
Now, I think this receiver's forte is his route running. He's a guy that can line up all over the field, but it's not just catching post routes and goes. This guy can run shallows, he can run slants, he can run the option routes and find soft spots in the defense. This guy really has all the routes in his toolbox.
He fires one deep down the right side.
That's what's so scary about this offense. They've got guys in the perimeter that can change the game in one single play, and you saw it right there. Too much speed on the perimeter to create that explosive play.
They'll try to get it in with the run. He pushes his way down to the 4 as they get closer and closer.
And what's the closest guy to the football, man? It's those defensive tackles, and those guards and centers have to work together. They got to get those guys and get some movement. They don't on this play, and the big fella eats. Nowhere to go. When you run into him, you usually meet the ground.
The option look. Now the pitch. He's going for the goal line. Touchdown, Ole Miss. Great job by the back on the option.
And they pound the rock. The run game comes through late in the first half when you needed it. Now they take the lead. They take the momentum. That's how you end the first half.
They'll send the tight end in motion. The give. This time he'll be stopped short of the goal line. So after scoring the touchdown, he tried to tack on the two-point conversion but was denied. He'll bring it out. It's Williams. He's got great speed. He's on the loose. And there he goes. They won't get it. It's a touchdown. He is a field-flipping machine. Taking on one end, returning to the other.
And now you get to celebrate. What a beautiful job. We always talk about defense. We always talk about offense. But, man, when your special teams come through for you and score, it is huge, and it provides such a boost for the crowd.
And they move on top with the extra point, 7-6. You get a return like that, and it can't just be the guy with the ball who's right. Everybody has to do a job, and they did that in brilliant fashion on that one. We'll see them really hit the speed button on the tempo here in the final minute of the first half. Dropping back, it's Simmons. Working that left side now. And the defense settled in to stop that one for a short gain. We got a timeout here late in the first half, and they'll try to get more points on the board before the break. Got the completion on the last play. Still some work to do on second down. Wants to throw. He's working against the clock. Quarterback floating away from pressure. And he will wisely throw it to the kid playing the tuba.
Good decision by the QB. You're outside the pocket. You're trying to find an open target. No one's open. Throw it away and live to play another down.
Ball sitting right at the 30. It'll be 3rd and short. From the gun. Wants to pass. Buys a little time. Catch in the middle. It's Lee. He's got first down yardage across the 50. They'll mark it at the 49. We asked earlier this week, who's your favorite receiver? And, of course, he said the open one, but we know who he really wants to go to on third down.
The best one. I mean, I think the open one, obviously the politically correct answer, but you want to find the guy that you got that great chemistry with. You know exactly where he's going to be. You got that bond and that trust.
Try to make up for some of that lost ground on second down. Misfired on the last play. They'll go back to the air. Got his man downfield. He gets across the 20 and finally out of bounds at the 19 there in the red zone.
Well, this defense is being challenged, and this secondary in particular. And I know a DB made the tackle there, but we're only in the second quarter, and already this quarterback has over 200 yards passing.
They're threatening to score, and they'll throw it. That one will be incomplete, and we are down to 10 seconds to go.
I know one of the things this defense really prides themselves on is being physical, and early in this game, putting a big hit on a guy that's already had a couple catches in this game, that's a good omen for the defense.
Quarterback making adjustments. Scanning the field, it's Simmons. Fires into the end zone. And he can't find his man as he was trying to pay off this red zone opportunity. Running out of time here in the first half. They're going to have to be efficient to put some points on the board before the break. On third down, he drops to throw. Can't quite cross the plane to get the 6, but they'll have the first down. So that's going to do it here in the first half. Stay tuned for the halftime break. And the Rebels will try to kick this one deep to get things underway in the second half. And he takes this from inside the 5. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. Come to the line for the first play of the drive, snapping it from the 21. Tight end now in motion. Off the play fake on first down, wants to throw. Can't find his man as he took a shot trying to deliver that football, and it'll be second down.
And we need more of this from this defense, man. They have let this guy have too much time to throw the football. They haven't gotten that jersey dirty yet, haven't sacked him. But this is just as good as a sack. Getting to him, hitting him, letting him feel the physicality of this game, and not letting him feel comfortable.
They'll knock him down after a 6-yard gain to the 27.
You just sense the frustration starting to build, not only on offense, but I think with this running back as well. He is so talented. He's had some massive games throughout his career. Just haven't been able to get him going early in this game. That was a pretty good run there. Let's see if he can turn it on here in the second half.
Wide open downfield. And the explosiveness, the big gainer gets it to the 49-yard line.
There's a reason third down is called the money down. What a great find by the quarterback. Great job finding his receiver. At the end of the game, you look at third down percentages, it tells a huge story, and it goes a long way in deciding who wins a football.
He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage.
If you're going to stop the run game, you better be physical up front on the defensive line. They've got some maulers. They've got some dudes with bad intentions. Nice play there.
Got stuffed on first down. It's 2nd and 10. Off the bootleg, wants to toss it. Fires on the move. Right on the money to the outside. He dragged the toe, and how about the ball placement? Only the receiver could get it.
And this is what's so great about play action. The run fake sucks those linebackers up, and it just creates so much more space for these receivers to operate. Beautiful execution by the offense.
looking for room. It's Hemby. That is a big win for this defense as they were right there as soon as he got the ball.
Well, the defense was trailing going in at halftime, and I think they made some adjustments against the run. They want to slow this guy down. That's a really nice start to the second half.
It's a running room. Goes out of bounds, but not before he gets it to the edge of the red zone right at the 20.
That's a great play call by the offensive coordinator because that play is essentially the extension of a sweep play. You're getting your running back an extra touch to the perimeter of the field, so now he can go to work in open space.
And the big tight end, a lot of times that's a bigger strike zone, a bigger dude, and you could tell they put the hit on him, and that ball came out, and it came to the turf. Nice job playing physical by this defense.
So now it's 2nd and long. Now on the move. And they'll wrestle him to the ground after a short gain.
You know, I really like this QB running the football because I know he's got a lot of speed, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. So he's not going to be able to break a lot of tackles. You really got to do a good job of trying to scheme ways to get him out in more space.
It's complete on the right side. They make the stop about 4 yards short of the first down.
I like the idea by the quarterback there. You're trying to get this first down, so you find the tight end, see if he can make a guy miss or shake a tackle. Not able to get it done.
Looks as if they're going to pass on a chance to take the lead with the field goal and go for it on 4th down. Sends it back in motion. On 4th down, looking for the completion. Makes the grab, he's got a first down. And they'll stop him inside the 5, but the defense is backed up in the shadow of its own goalpost. And the Hoosiers trying to cash it in on 1st and goal. Looking to throw, it's Mendoza. Fires to the end zone. He was open, he had it, and he dropped it. Would have been a touchdown. Instead, it's 2nd down.
And this is the part of the field, man, you really got to have a plan because these windows get smaller and you're trying to fit that ball into the end zone. It's difficult to do. Quarterback, receivers, they got to be on the same page.
Can the defense stop them again on 2nd and goal? Tight end in motion, see how the D reacts. Going to swing it on 2nd down. Pressure coming. They get enough rush, and it pays off. The sack at the 20.
Pass. Now we're at a 3rd and goal. You'd like to see this part of the field where you can exert some of that physicality, run the football. I know you're doing it. I know the field shrinks, but I'm going to be tougher than you, more physical than you, and I'm going to run the football down your throat.
On 3rd and long, he'll need to push it downfield. And here comes the pressure, and there he goes down again.
Man, it looked bad for a little bit, but how about the defense coming through? Back-to-back sacks. Now it's 4th and goal. Decision time for the offense, but the defense made it really, really difficult getting those negative plays in back-to-back situations.
They'll kick it away after putting up a field goal on that last drive. And it'll be a touchback. The ball will come out to the 25-yard line. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. Wants to throw on 1st down off the play fake. Trying to make magic with his feet. Hit hard just as he released it on 1st down and just couldn't get it to the receiver.
These receivers on these scramble drills are going to have to play with a little bit more urgency because this pass rush is getting after the QB. He was flushed out to the left and wasn't able to complete that throw because of the hit he took.
Dropping back, it's Simmons. Just a short pass to the tight end. Out to the 36-yard line after gaining 10 on that one. That throw and catch, a really good example of why coaches don't want a quarterback to get stuck on a particular target, isn't it, David?
Yep, that's exactly right. Find the guy who's open because you got so many guys that have...
Oh, he's getting ahead of defense on skates that time. They finally drag him down at the 42.
Well, that's great timing by the quarterback and receiver on that out route. If you're going to be running that against man coverage like they were there, that ball has to be thrown early, and it's got to be thrown out in front of the receiver, and they execute it perfectly.
Coming out on first down with the play fake. Through his hands and incomplete. He normally makes that catch every time it's second down.
Man, those are frustrating because you know you're supposed to catch that. You're supposed to secure it. It's going to happen, but it's just frustrating for those receivers. Just tap the chest. My bad, dog.
Now the play fake. The sure hands. It's Taylor. Open space at the 25. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line after the huge pickup. They've done a really good job identifying mismatches, and they find one out of the backfield there.
Reese, I really don't think it's that hard. My guy is better than yours. Find the matchup across the field. Running back's got some speed. Get it in his hands quickly. Throw it to him fast. Let him make somebody miss against a slower guy that's usually a linebacker.
And with that one, he's now over 3 bills for the game.
And there's 2 reasons why, Reese. He's made good decisions, and he's been accurate throwing the football all game long.
The Rebels line it up with a 1st and goal. Barges ahead. And he is stopped, not getting close to the end zone. Line of scrimmage still at the 3. The offense will have to use its first timeout of the half. Got nothing last time. Now 2nd and goal from the 3. Quarterback making checks. Looking for a path to the end zone to the right. Touchdown, Rebels! They take the lead with the 6.
This defense is going to have to do a better job being physical. That's 2 rushing touchdowns they've now allowed. They have got to be better close to the line of scrimmage.
My philosophy on going for 2 is only when you have to. They'll try to outflank him with the jet sweep. He's going to be stopped short of the goal line. The 2-point attempt is no good as they are unable to extend the lead. He'll bring it out. It's Williams. Rolling the dice to bring it out of the end zone did not work out as he stopped at the 13. Get off one more play before the end of the quarter. From the gun, leaves it on the inside with the back. They get in the backfield and make the play, and that's how they'll finish off this 3rd period.
Ole Miss 12, Indiana 10.
It'll be 2nd down as we open the final stanza. Looks as if they didn't get it off in time. It'll be a delay of game. They'll decline the penalty here and let the result of that play stand. And now on 2nd down for this offense. They'll move the tight end. They'll try to get the edge with the toss play here. And they'll stop him just short of the first down, just inches away from moving the sticks.
I think the OC would have been really happy with a small gain and an easier third down. But how about the effort by the running back to get this close? He saw the first down marker, tried to get to it, got close enough now where it's an easy situation on third down. And shoot, and I got fourth down in my pocket if I want to go for it.
It'll be a first down as he gets it to the 24-yard line.
And that's so tough as a defense because they only got to get inches. But I got to find a way to somehow get a knockback, stop the running back's feet. Right there, I couldn't do it. He gets downhill just enough, and he gets the first down.
It's a good job, too, there on third down by the offense because a major statistic in football in terms of winning and losing is how good are you at staying on the field, keeping drives alive. Whether it's third and long or third and inches, you just have to go execute, and they do it.
How about the job by this defense today? They knew what they were getting into. A really good running back. We talked to him this week. It was the main focus point of this offense, stopping the run game, stopping the run game. Boy, have they turning it on!
They'll spot the ball at the 34 as he goes out of bounds right there.
You blitz me, I'm getting the ball out of my hands. Really good job understanding that by the offensive coordinator, this quarterback, seeing the blitz, getting the ball to a playmaker, letting him do some damage. And more importantly, I don't have to throw it way down the field. Just get the first down.
The Hoosiers are rolling down the field. They'll run the toss. They'll get him at the 45, but he got 10 on that one.
Nice play offensively. You go with the toss to the left, and how about the blocking downfield by the wide receiver on that play? If you're going to run to the perimeter, you got to have guys doing work downfield for you, and they had it on that one.
Bringing the heat. Hit hard as he released the ball on that first down pass, and it never had a chance.
And this is a tough time for this offense because you're in passing mode. You're in comeback mode, and where's that? The defense knows that. Like, they're pinning their ears back. They're coming after the quarterback, and you've already struggled protecting your guy today and creating those explosive plays. This offense is going to have to buckle up and really protect their guy up front.
On the ground, it's Hemby. Oh, a lot of space. Makes that one pay off, and they finally get him down at the 38. It'll be first down.
This defense really is on their heels. They've been on the field now for a long time on this drive, and they're just getting pushed around at the point of attack up front like we saw on that last play.
Off the play fake on first down to throw. Makes the grab. He's loose. Running through contact. A huge chunk play as he gets it all the way down to the 11.
How nice is it as a quarterback when you don't have to throw post routes to get great stats? No, I can just throw it quickly to one of the fastest players in the entire nation and let him burn this defense.
And the Hoosiers getting set on 1st and 10. Keeping it on the ground with the running back. Relentless, tough running, gets it down to the 4.
Listen, you got to be able to know what play to call and what hole to go through. Like the line blocks for a certain hole. Good job getting through the hole, getting what was blocked, getting a nice positive gain, making your situation really good on the next down.
Going to work on 2nd down, and the red zone is still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. They'll try the toss to the left.
Well, trailing late in the game right now, the offense obviously needs better plays than that. They took a negative play, but at least the good news is they got out of bounds, so they're able to stop the clock. They've got to dial something up here that's going to get a big play.
Really need to pick up this conversion and avoid having to settle for the field goal. He'll do it himself. Touchdown, Hoosiers! And with that, they move out front here in the 4th.
Man, I love this offense being able to run the football late in the game when it matters and punching in for the touchdown, and more importantly, take the lead.
Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. The kickoff bounces through the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 25. drive from the 25. Off the play fake on first down. Bought a little time, lets it go. He misses his man. The accuracy just not what it needed to be on that play. They're dealing with a 2nd and long. From the shotgun, they'll run it. It's runs like that that can really help your field position as they're up at the 35.
And it's really nice, whether it's RPO or not, is having a defensive line that stones the offensive line, takes away the gaps. It doesn't matter what your read is if you're winning up front on that defensive line.
And the Rebels lining up, just needing a few tough inches on 3rd down. They'll try to move the chains on the ground. And he just needed a few inches, and the defense was surly and nasty and said, no, sirree. And here we go, down a score. They'll go for it on 4th down. Trying to keep this drive alive. Got enough for the first down and wants more. All down, but he has enough to move the chains. In your own territory, if you don't make it, I mean, it invites disaster, but it's 4th and inches. They had to go for it, and they made it.
Well, if I lost a bunch of weight, I'd be skinny, but I didn't. So go for it every single time. I love it.
Ball is at the 35. It's 1st and 10. They'll move the wide receiver. To the air, it's Simmons. Quick completion on the out. Oh, he's got some space. Great job in this 2-minute drill as he gets out of bounds, keeping the clock on their side as they're trying to pull it out. Precision execution there to work the sidelines, pick up the first down, and stop the clock.
Yeah, great job by the offense. You've got to understand the situation. The clock is the enemy late in the ballgame. Got to have a score, like you said, Reese. Work the outer part of the field so I can catch the football and get out of bounds.
Makes the catch. It's Diggs. And after the pickup, gets to the sidelines to stop the clock and keep this drive going as they try to save themselves late. They've got it at the 36 on 1st and 10. The give to the running back from the shotgun. Stopped in the backfield. He's going to lose 3 yards on the play.
Thinking about using a timeout right here after that run play. And listen, I get you're trying to keep the defense off guard, but you're losing this game. You've got to throw the football. Now is the time. You've got to be aggressive, trailing in this 2-minute situation.
Grabbed on the outside. It's Taylor.
Well, I love the body control there by the running back. He had to catch that right on the sideline, make sure he had his feet in bounds, try to pick up some positive yards.
Need a massive chunk play to move the sticks here on 3rd down. Quarterback adjusting the pattern. On 3rd down, he'll try to pick it up through the air. And it's incomplete despite some serious arm strength shown there.
Well, I know it hasn't been a tremendous day statistically for this quarterback, but his decision-making has been good enough to win this game. Hasn't thrown a lot of TDs so far, but when things aren't open, he throws it away like on that play right there. He's not putting his team in a bad spot, and that's why they still have a shot to walk out of here with a W.
The offense gets a quick timeout at this point. Every second is precious. They are running out of time and very little choice. Down 5 late, they'll go for it on 4th down. An unforced error there. They don't get the snap off in time. So the penalty will not be enforced. The defense declines and stands on the result of the play. Trailing by a possession, they need to keep the ball. They'll try to convert on 4th down. Off the play fake. It's incomplete, and they desperately needed to keep that drive going, and they couldn't make the connection.
And that's a play the quarterback would love to have back. Late in the game, trailing by only 1 possession on 4th down, it looked like there was a window to put that football in, to get the catch, keep the drive going. The quarterback has it.
And the pressure will get there. The sack. Down he goes in the waning moments. That could be a costly play.
I love the defensive effort there. They didn't get him right away. They stayed after him. He was scrambling, going backwards. They get the sack on the first play of the drive.
Unloads to the wideout. It's complete. Strong, firm tackle. Quick timeout called by the defense, stopping the clock to save as much time as possible for their offense. The Hoosiers are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. Looking to pass. It's Mendoza. Throws for the tight end. Can't make the connection on 3rd down thanks to that tough, hard-nosed pass defense, and now it's 4th down. This offense believes you are given 4 downs for a reason. You've got to use all of them. 2 for 3 so far today. On 4th down, he'll try to toss it. He's going for the big play. And it's incomplete way downfield, and the defense rises to the occasion.
And this offense stays aggressive, and listen, everybody likes it when it works. But now you are leaning on your defense, and this thing just got interesting.
First play of the drive, wants to throw. Oh, they're after him. And he just threw that one away. Safe move, didn't see anything, lived to play another play.
Well, the quarterback off target on that one. And in this 2-minute situation, you've got to be able to call and run passing plays that you feel like you can run in your sleep.
Off play action. Here's a hit. He had that one slip to the ground, and if he had held on, that might have been a wrap. Instead, it'll be 3rd down. Now this offense tries to figure out a way to move the chains after the 2nd down misfire. On 3rd and long, trying to have a big completion here. Defense falls on the ball. Going to be a turnover. That is a serendipitous turn of events with the fumble going out of bounds. They'll maintain possession. To have any chance to pull this game out, they have to convert on 4th down here late in the 4th. He'll go up top, maybe a deciding play here. Trying to pick up the first out of the backfield. And he's brought down after a nice game.
And that was a play they absolutely had to have. 4th down, down by 1 possession. You've got to find a way. Someone's got to step up and make a play, and they did it right there. That is going to be huge for their confidence.
To the air, it's Simmons. Rushes on him. Fires downfield. And the incomplete pass was just too hot to handle.
And this offense has been a struggle bus. I mean, just call it like it is, guys. It hasn't been good, especially the passing game. And I'll tell you what, QB's played better games before. And I'm interested to watch. Can he stay positive? Can he finish this game off on a good note?
Unleashes one deep. Had it in his hands for the score and let it fall to the turf. It'll be 3rd down.
Man, this late in the game, it's go time. I got to have a score. I'm not worried about downs. I'm going through my 2-minute script. We know what's coming. We practiced this all week. It's 2nd down, incomplete pass, go to 3rd down. We need to go for it on 4th down. This offense just has to keep that high energy up and try to run these plays fast.
Pass is incomplete, and we dwindle down to 7 seconds.
Great job of timing the blitz and calling it at a perfect moment when the offense was going to drop back and throw. They're able to get to him, hit him. They don't get the sack, but they do affect his accuracy and falls incomplete.
A 5-point game here, getting very late in the offense. Will stay on the field on 4th down. Quarterback may change this route. On 4th down, they'll pass for it. Fires to the wideout. Incomplete on 4th down, and man, did they need to keep that drive alive. Lost a throw on 1st down. Going for the big play. Catch inside the 25. They're able to make the stop, and a little extra icing on this winning cake in this one. A hostile environment can have a major impact on even the most composed, well-prepared team. So how much did the crowd play a factor in this upset?
Well, this is what makes college football so great, the home crowd and how they were able to impact this game. No doubt about it, David. They played a big factor.
And they're still jacked up, and they're still excited. They play a big factor, and it affects everything. College football, road atmospheres, they're tough. Even when the team isn't ranked like they weren't today, these are the types of moments that can jump up and bite you.
That's going to do it from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and you've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.